Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bardtender, a show where I'm going to teach you how to make Dungeons & Dragons themed cocktails that are featured on our D&D show, Growing Campaigns. If you'd like to catch Growing Campaigns, you can Sundays 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. If you're not available on Sundays, you can find our VODs on our YouTube, or you could go to DutchMasterGaming.com and find all the ways you can enjoy our content and where you can reach out to us on social media. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and break down this episode into two parts. First, I'm going to teach you how to make our cocktail, the Vampire Charm Martini. And then afterwards, I'm going to go and tell you a little bit about the lore of the complex creature, the vampire spawn, and a little bit on how I like to run them as a dungeon master. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into making the drink. So for the first part of this episode, I'm going to show you how to make our cocktail, the Vampire's Charm Martini. Laid out in front of me is all the tools and ingredients I'll need to create this cocktail. I have a jigger to portion out my ingredients. I have a muddler to smash some of the raspberries to just enrich that raspberry flavor that I'm going for. And I have a hawthorn strainer to keep the raspberry seeds from my actual cocktail. I chose a martini glass to put our martini in, and I went ahead and already rimmed it with a sugar rim that I added a little bit of muddled raspberries just to add to that red color and kind of give it a fun flair. So first I'm going to go ahead and grab a few raspberries. I'm going to stick them into 2 ounces of vodka. And I'm going to take my muddler and I'm going to go ahead and smash these. I do it fairly thoroughly. You should actually see a reddish tint start to, I guess, overwhelm that clear vodka color. So I'm going to go ahead and first add that to my mixer filled with ice. Next, I have 2 ounces of a black raspberry liqueur. I chose Chambord for mine, but there are several others on the market you can use. This just seemed to be my favorite. We actually tried a few. And then finally, we have 3 ounces of cranberry juice. With everything mixed, I'll go ahead and put a lid on my shaker, and this one's for you, Ben. Now after you shake your drink, go ahead and take the lid off. Careful not to make a mess. And I'm going to go ahead and strain this into my martini glass. And when that is all complete, so is our drink. I'm going to add a lemon wedge, and I would like to say you could treat this a lot like a Cosmo. If you'd like, you could add a little bit of a hint of lemon. You can do that before you shake or after. Doesn't matter too much. I said lemon, but I meant lime. So I'm actually going to go ahead and squeeze a little bit of lime juice on top of this. And with that, enjoy. So for the second part of this episode, sit back, relax, and enjoy your newly made cocktail while I tell you a little bit about Vampire Spawn and how I like to run them. So ironically, we named this drink the Vampire's Charm Martini, but the Vampire Spawn doesn't actually have that ability. They just operate underneath their, whatever vampire turned them, they operate underneath their charm. So they're permanently charmed and just obedient by their creator, no matter how they felt about their creator in their past life. A lot of people like to just take Vampire Spawn and use them as a combat encounter, which has a ton of flavor and a lot of versatility as they have a bunch of different abilities and are very tough foes. They regenerate after every round. They climb on the walls and can drop from ceilings to surprise your party or avoid the tough melee characters of your party and just cause havoc. They also have these really strange resistances that your party may not be aware of, like a stake to the heart, or running water hurts them. So without this knowledge, they're super tough and can disrupt anybody's strategy. But other than just the complexities of them in combat, you can roleplay them in a very complex manner. A perfect example of this is in the Curse of Strahd campaign. There's a man named Donovich, whose son joined a rebellious group against the Vampire Strahd himself. Storming Castle Ravenloft, they all failed, most of them perishing. But Doru actually had a worse fate. The Devil Strahd himself turned Doru into his vampire spawn and sent him back to his father Donovich. Now in his church, Doru remains in Donovich's church's basement, just overwhelmed by this insatiable thirst for blood, while Donovich spends his entire life and every waking moment trying to find a cure for his son. Now you could take these kind of concepts and add complex NPCs of vampire spawns with complex feelings and motives and put them into your campaign instead of them just being a stat block with a bunch of complexity. They can be complex characters in your short vampire story arc that you're working on in your homebrews. So, with that information, I hope any Dungeon Master out there may have some new ideas for their vampire story arcs, or anybody who just enjoys some more now has a little more information on Vampire Spawn. So before I wrap up, I would like to say, if you liked our content, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you have a cocktail in mind that you'd like to see me turn into a Dungeons & Dragons themed cocktail and add my own flair to it, please put it in the comments below. So with that, I'd like to say cheers, and we'll see you next time.